Chinese people in America, they're good musicians. But in China, music is, I don't think, part of their education. Girivaradhari. That's how Prabhupada sings it. Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yeah. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sanyavari Paschatya Dasacharine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shiva Shri Gaur Bhaktivinoda Manchakapadurvyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanivyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram. Can you take the harmony? Bhagavati Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we have to decide what verse we're going to read.
Have a verse today, Bhagavatam?
Who's going to choose? You just go to the Bhagavatam, you put your hand up. You pull it off, you open with your eyes closed.
Shloka is unread in Sanskrit. Yes.
How come there's only, each one is a full canto?
Yeah. It's a Lithuanian one.
Oh, you have English? Oh, I have my, I brought my.
Danish. Is it yours?
I have here. It's okay.
As it is it English or?
English. Var det snart? Can I? Jag är vargen. I have vargen. Verse.
Okay.
Vilket då? Yeah. Number 2.145. 63.
215. 2, 1, 5. Tasmad Bharata Sarvatma Bhagavan Ishvara Hari Shotavya Kirtitavyascha Chichathabhayam Tasmat Bharata Sarvatma. This is easy. It's like a Bhagavad Gita verse. Tasmat Bharata Sarvatma.
Which one was first?
Two, not one. Tasmad Bharata Sarvatma.
Tasmad Bharata Tasmad
Bhagavan Ishvaro Hari. Shrotavya Kirtitavyascha. You should know all these words. You've been a devotee more than a few years. You should know all these words. These are common. These are common words. Smartavyas chetabayam. Tasmat Bharata Sarvatma. Bhagavan Ishvaro Hari. Shrutavyas Smartavyas chetabayam. Chechatabayam.
Chechatabayam.
Chechatabayam. Okay, you want to chant?
Tasmad Bharata Sarvatma.
Tasmad Bharata Sarvatma.
Bhagavan Ishvaro Hari.
Bhagavan Ishvara Hari.
Shrotavya Kirtitavyascha.
Shrotavya Kirtitavyascha.
Smartavyaschethatapayam.
Smartavyaschetatabayam. You like all speak like 3 languages. This should be easy, right?
Tasmad Bharata Sarvatma.
Tasmad Bharata Sarvatma.
Bhagavan Ishvaro Hari.
Bhagavan Ishvaro Hari.
Shrotavya Kirtitavyascha.
Shrotavya Kirtitavyascha.
Smartavyaschetatavyam.
Chechatabayam.
Smartavyaschetatavyam.
Word meanings. Tasmat.
Tasmat.
For this reason. Bharata. O descendant of Bharata. Sarvatma. The Supersoul. Bhagavan. The Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ishvaraha. The Controller. Harihi. The Lord who vanquishes all miseries. Shrotavyaha is to be heard. Kirtavyaha, to be glorified. Cha, also. Smartavyaha, to be remembered. Cha, and. Ichata, of one who desires. Abhayam, freedom. O descendant of King Bharata, one who desires to be free from all miseries must hear about, glorify, and also remember the personality of Godhead, who is the Supersoul, the controller, and the savior from all miseries. In the previous verse, Sri Shukadeva Goswami has described how the foolish, materially attached men are wasting their valuable time in the improvement of the material conditions of life by sleeping, indulging in sex life, developing economic conditions, and maintaining a band of relatives who are to be vanquished in the air of oblivion. Being engaged in all these materialistic activities, the living soul entangles himself in the cycle of the law of fruitive actions. This entails the chain of birth and death in the 8,400,000 species of life, the aquatics, the vegetables, the reptiles, the birds, the beasts, the uncivilized man, and then the civilized human form, which is the chance for getting out of the cycle of fruitive action. Therefore, if one desires freedom from this vicious circle, then one must cease to act as a karmi, or enjoyer of the results of one's own work, good or bad. One should not do anything, either good or bad, but must execute everything on behalf of the Supreme Lord, the ultimate proprietor of everything that be. The process of doing work is recommended in Bhagavad Gita 9:27, also where instruction is given for working on the Lord's account. Therefore, one should first of all hear about the Lord. When one has perfectly and scrutinizingly heard, one must glorify his acts and deeds. It's possible to remember constantly the transcendental nature of the Lord. Hearing about and glorifying the Lord are identical with the transcendental nature of the Lord. And by so doing, one will always be in the association of the Lord. This brings freedom from all sorts of fear. The Lord is Supersoul, Paramatma, present in the hearts of all living beings, and thus, by the above hearing and glorifying process, the Lord invites the association of all in His creation. This process of hearing about and glorifying the Lord is applicable for everyone, wherever he may be, and it will lead one to the ultimate success in everything in which one may be engaged by providence. There are many classes of human beings, the fruitive workers, the empiric philosophers, the mystic yogis, and ultimately the unalloyed devotees. For all of them, one and the same process is applicable for achieving the desired success. Everyone wants to be free from all kinds of fear, and everyone wants the fullest extent of happiness in life. The perfect process for achieving this here and now is recommended in Srimad Bhagavatam, which is uttered by such a great authority as Srila Sukadeva Goswami. By hearing about and glorifying the Lord, all of a person's activities become molded into spiritual activities, and thus become completely vanquished. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Reading this, how Shastra says that Krishna is non-different, not only from his name, but from hearing about him. And so Prabhupada is saying, and you can be with Krishna. Think about this. To achieve the personal association of God, is that difficult? Yes. Who can achieve the personal association with God? Only a pure devotee. Only one who has prema. And until we have prema, we remain in this world. Right? But at the same time, Prabhupada is saying anybody can have Krishna's personal association by hearing about him. So that's interesting, isn't it? That we're unqualified at this point in our devotional life. We're unqualified to associate with Krishna, but Krishna lets us associate with him, and anybody can associate just by hearing. And when you're hearing the Leela, you're drawn into the Leela, so it's like you're there. Right? That's amazing. And Prabhupada has written in the Bhagavatam that hearing about the Leela and being with Krishna in the Leela is the same. Of course, you'll say, well, I'd rather be in the Leela than read about it. I think it would be different for me. Sometimes I read, I get drowsy, I get bored, I fall asleep. I don't think I would get drowsy and bored and fall asleep if I was in the Leela. But that's not true. Because did you know that when Krishna was on the planet, very few people actually understood who he was? And of course you have Duryodhana, Sisupal, who didn't like him. They were envious of him. They think, how could you be envious of God? He's so beautiful. But if you're not a devotee, you don't see the beauty. You don't see Krishna. So Sisupal saw Krishna as an enemy. Duryodhana saw Krishna, maybe not as an enemy, but he was envious of the Pandavas. And so you could see Krishna as an enemy, even though he's there. So I wish I could be in the Leela, yeah, but if you're in the Leela, you could be a demon in the Leela trying to kill him. And obviously you don't see Krishna because you wouldn't try to kill him if you saw who he was. So Prabhupada's saying there's no difference between hearing about Krishna and being with Krishna. And we think, no, there's this huge difference. But how is it a huge difference if hardly anyone even understood Krishna? Even though they saw him, they didn't know who he was. And we're not talking about the residents of Vrindavan. Of course, they were covered by Yoga Maya. But we're talking about ordinary people. They didn't understand Krishna. And then Krishna comes in Bhagavad Gita, says, "Here I am, I'm the Supreme Person." And the commentators say, "No, he's not the Supreme Person. We're all the Supreme Person." So, if you're not in Krishna consciousness, it doesn't even matter. You have Bhagavad Gita, you have Bhagavatam, you'll completely misunderstand. You'll even see the Leela and you'll misunderstand, or you'll be a demon, you'll try to kill Krishna. So, the point Prabhupada's making is that although we're unqualified, by hearing Bhagavatam, we're associating. Just meditate on that. That's amazing. That he's giving us, and that every benefit, Prabhupada said, every benefit you would get by associating with Krishna, you get by hearing the pastime. So the other point this verse is making is that we become free from all misery. So when Prabhupada says free from all miseries, what does he mean? That if you hear a pastime, your stomach ache will go away? If you hear a pastime, your headache will go away, your broken wrist will get healed? Is that what Prabhupada means? By hearing, you become free from all misery? No. He means that you will go back to Krishna, and at that place you become free from all misery. But also it means, on this plane, when you hear about Krishna, even though physically we're in this world, our consciousness is no longer here, and therefore we won't be affected by miseries as we would normally. So, I may have a broken wrist, but it's not going to affect me in the same way as I wasn't a devotee, because now, even though I'm incapacitated, I'm thinking about the Leela, and I'm happy, I'm blissful, I'm transcendental for that time that I'm hearing. But when you hear, what happens? You become transcendental, right? Isn't it? For that moment, we're hearing. And so you may have come here today to this home, full of anxiety and misery. If you just hear that misery, that anxiety will tend to disappear. You'll tend to forget it, and you'll feel blissful hearing about Krishna, right? So that's another aspect of becoming free from all misery. Yes. Yeah. So the other point Prabhupada makes, which is a simple point, but it's worth repeating because sometimes simple things are neglected. Prabhupada said, if you hear about Krishna, you'll think about Krishna. So let's flip it around. If you don't hear about Krishna, you won't think about Krishna. And don't think you're going to be Krishna conscious without hearing. I mean, you could say, when I'm engaged in service, that makes me remember Krishna. Yeah, that's true. But to be absorbed, the goal ultimately is to be absorbed in thinking of Krishna. And not only thinking of Krishna, the goal is to understand Krishna and to understand bhakti through the activities of the pure devotee. And all of that happens by hearing. Like, how will you understand what is pure bhakti unless you hear about the gopis? Because they manifest pure bhakti. And so if you hear about the gopis, then naturally you'll think more about pure bhakti. If you hear about the gopis, naturally you'll think, oh, this is real love. I never understood this other love that goes on in this world. It's not prema, it's kama. It's lust. So by hearing, we not only get absorbed in thinking of Krishna, but we learn, we understand, we absorb ourselves in understanding what is pure love, pure bhakti. Because when the heart is contaminated with lust, we can't understand what pure love is. So we have to read about those who have pure love. And then when you read about those who have pure love, that affects your heart, and that removes the lust. Interesting, right? Prabhupada said, by hearing about Krishna's activities with the gopis, it removes lust, if you're capable of hearing it without thinking this is like young boys and girls. If you think of it like young boys and girls, it'll actually increase your lust. You'll want to enjoy, you'll want to find your girl. Oh, Krishna's enjoying, let me find a girl I want to enjoy also. It'll just incite the desire to enjoy. But if you're pure, then when you hear about it, it will further purify you. Otherwise, How are we going to understand what pure love is? We have, in material conception of life, we don't have a conception of love which is free from envy, which is free from hatred, which was free from personal desire. Right? And that's why there's so many divorces. And divorce sends a very, very powerful message to us. Contained within that so-called love was the potential for hatred. Contained with that so-called unity was the potential for... So it's not pure. In the Leelas of Krishna and his devotees, there's no capacity for that. And even though sometimes it seems like Radharani is upset with Krishna, she's upset with Krishna because she knows that's going to make Krishna happy. She's not actually upset. She's playing upset. This morning I was reading a story. So Krishna got allured to spend time with Chandravali. And Chandravali is his competitor to Radharani. She's on the other side. She's like, you could say, an enemy. Not really an enemy, but a competitor. So Radharani doesn't like it if Krishna goes with Chandravali. That's a group of gopis that are not on Radharani's side. And they performed a trick, and they said, Krishna, you have to come. I think he said, there's a disaster here, or somebody's sick, you have to come. So he ran, and he was spending time with Chandravali and other gopis who are called contrary gopis. They're against Radharani, so-called against. Right? And then Radharani is waiting for Krishna, and she's becoming, anxious. And he said, I can't. Krishna's supposed to be and meet me, but he's not here. He's with Chandravali, and I can't maintain my life. I can't. So I think Lalita or someone got Krishna. She said, Radharani, she's dying in separation. She's waiting for you, and you're not here. And then Krishna comes, and then Radharani, why are you late? And she didn't look at him. She looked away. I don't want to talk to you. So you would think, why would she do that if she's dying in separation? When she comes, you think she would embrace him. But she's doing that because it enhances the love. So there is anger. And Prabhupada said there is envy in the spiritual world, but the envy is that I want to serve like you. It's actually appreciation. The envy is actually appreciation. But I want to outdo you, not because I want to be better, because I'm inspired by you. So there is envy, there is anger, there are all these emotions. But they're not under the modes of nature. Material envy, material anger like that. So therefore the love is pure. And that's why Prabhupada said there's no love in the material world. Obviously there's love here. Obviously there's affection. If there wasn't, we'd probably all kill ourselves, right? If our mother didn't love us, babies who aren't loved can't live. Did you know that? They can't live, So obviously there is love. But Prabhupada's defining love differently, not the way we define it. He's defining it as prema. There's no prema in this world, because in that love, there's nothing material. There's no potential for anything but love. There's only potential for more love, right? In this world, even the love of a mother, which is, Prabhupada said, is the closest thing to pure love, even sometimes your mother will get upset with you. Right? And make you feel miserable. You didn't do something she wanted. Like, you go marry a Muslim girl. Your mother's not going to be happy. Right? Probably. Yeah. And she might say, I will kill myself if you marry that girl. Or I will never talk to you again if you marry that girl. It's like, I thought you loved me. No, I'll never talk. So, these things happen. Isn't it? You get out of my house, never come back. This sometimes happens. So hearing about Krishna's pastimes is not only transcendentally blissful for us to hear what Krishna's doing and exciting and interesting and so forth, but it enables us to understand something we cannot possibly understand from our own experience, which is pure love, because you need to see someone who has pure love to understand what pure love is. That's why Prabhupada was so effective when he came to the West, because nobody saw what pure love is. And there's Prabhupada, and everybody could see he's not like anybody else. He doesn't think like other people. He doesn't talk like other people. He doesn't act like other people. And what he's experiencing is not what anyone experiences. So someone may not believe in God, and you say, but how can there be a person that's experiencing this unless there is a God? He's experiencing a relationship with something that is creating this effect. There must be God. So they could see in Prabhupada, they could see Krishna. They could see what is love of Krishna, and then they wanted it. Or I could say, we wanted it. We'd see it. What you have, Prabhupada, I want, because I can see what you have is real love and real sweetness. Right? So, you know the story, Uddhava was sent to Vrindavan by Krishna to send a message, but really Krishna wanted Uddhava to take the message so that Uddhava could meet the residents of Braja, because he wanted to show Uddhava a higher level of purity. And what's so interesting is that Uddhava, being not understand that level of love, he had to leave Krishna's association. He had to go to Vrindavan and see the residents of Vrindavan and their love to understand what that love was. So even though he's with Krishna, leaving Krishna gave him a deeper understanding of it, that he wouldn't understand it in Krishna's presence. So just as we can only understand what's within our experience, but when we associate with those who have more Krishna consciousness, then we start to understand, oh, that's how you're supposed to think. Oh, you're not supposed to do this. Oh, I noticed this devotee, when it's different than when I chant. When he does this, or, oh, I got up at 6 o'clock, he was up at 4 o'clock. Oh, that's what they do. They get up. So you see, you manifest what love is. Otherwise, love in our culture is it's very amorphous. It's very ambiguous. I love you. It's all like, it's an emotion. But love may be emotion, but the real, like there's this joke, like the husband says, I love you more than anything. He's okay, where's the car? Where's the house? Where are the kids? Where's the money? Yeah, but show me. Your cards on the table. Show me your love. No, we don't need that. I just want you to know I have so much affection. No, I need you to show it, because I don't know if I believe you. Just telling me, all you do every day is tell me you love me, and but you don't show it. At least buy some flowers. At least do something. So that's our concept of love. But then you see the love of the residents in Braja, and in our scriptures, in our books, love ultimately culminates with this focus on Radharani, because no one has love like she has. So if you want to understand the pinnacle of love, you have to understand the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, because then Radharani exhibits the highest. So this is like, not, I wouldn't say our goal, so to speak, but this is like what we idolize, this love. And the Bhagavatam says that there's no love like the love of the gopis. Ramya kaschid, bhajavadu bhagena cha kalpita. There's no love like this. It doesn't exist anywhere. So it directs us to that love. This is the highest. And now you can understand what love is. And so we hear about it. We hear about Krishna's actions, Rasa Leela. But we have to hear with this desire to understand that pure love. Otherwise we hear and we think, oh, boy and girl. And then we actually become disturbed. Hare Krishna. Yeah. So that's the idea. Do you have any questions? Yes. Well, we have a question here. Let me answer this first. We're giving priority seating now to the people watching. I normally don't, but we'll do. Should we also compete in service for Guru and Krishna? Seems that competition, if we are not pure enough, something might be unhealthy or even dangerous. Prabhupada said communism didn't work because it didn't incite competition. And he said competition is the nature of humans. They like to compete. Of course, some people have more of a competitive nature. They have to be number one. And if they're not, they're not happy. And they'll make sure somehow they become number one. That's, of course, an unhealthy competitive nature. But Prabhupada did encourage competition, but sometimes that competition did kind of degrade into something material. And so obviously that's not. And then Prabhupada explained the competition that exists in the spiritual world is that you're pleasing Krishna and I'm so inspired and I want to please Krishna more, not to outdo you, but to give Krishna pleasure. So you're inspiring me you are my inspiration to give Krishna pleasure, to give pleasure to Krishna. And so you can outdo me, that will just inspire me to do better than you. And then we're both competing to give Krishna pleasure. So Krishna's the winner, and because Krishna's the winner, we're both happy. That's transcendental competition. So that's how it's supposed to work. So, but sometimes we're so conditioned that it doesn't work that way. And then we contaminate the competition. It's like, no, I don't want you to be better than me. I want to be better than you. Right? And let's say, you're a devotee 20, 30 years from now, and some younger devotees outdoing you. You might feel, this isn't good. I have to outdo them. This is my, how am I going to be famous as a senior devotee if this younger devotee knows more shlokas than I do? This is embarrassing. So that's material competition, where it's about us and our position and name and fame. But in transcendental competition, it's about Krishna's pleasure. So if Krishna's pleasure is there, everything's good. And if it's about my name and fame, then better don't compete. If that's the only way you can compete, because that is degrading and contaminating. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Is that okay? Yeah. Yes. Okay.
Can I also give a comment, Maharaj?
Yes.
Because my question converted to a comment.
Okay.
Because the day before you were mentioning about it's easy to sacrifice your body. It's very difficult to sacrifice your mind and heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's where all the impressions and all the memories and all the attachments and lie.
Yes.
So my question earlier was that how does one translate this love for somebody who's not into devotional practice and you have certain history with this person? And I guess that is also an impression in the mind, and then any reaction that originates, you know that it is a reaction, and then you can dedicate it to Krishna and not react to it.
Yeah. Well, everything is about how we see. So we have this word Sastra-caksus. You should see not through your mind, but see through a mind that filters through the Shastra. So the light is going through your mind, is coming out one color. No, that's impure. That's orange. The light is pure white. Filtered through the Shastra, now it comes out white. So now I'm seeing it as it is. Otherwise, we see everything subjectively. We think this is real, but it's just based on our level of consciousness, our experience, our perception. So we'll all look at something. You'll all look at this furnace. Call it a furnace. So we'll all look at the furnace, and someone will look at it and say, "Oh, that's beautiful. It's so rustic and natural." And someone will say, "Yeah, but it takes up so much room. The room would look, maybe you should put something around it so we don't have to see it." You'll all look at it differently. Someone will say, "Oh, this is so cool. This is this is so eco-friendly. You're heating your house with wood." And someone will say, "Yeah, but the poor trees, you're cutting them down." We all see it differently. So then the point is, well, what does the Shastra say? And the Shastra says, this is how I should see other people, and this is how I should see situations when other people so-called disturb me, and this is how I should treat people under these conditions. And so the Shastra is giving you a vision, or this is the reality, it's my karma. The person is mistreating me. But the Shastra says, well, no, you should see it as your karma. that you must have done something today or yesterday or another life. It alters your reaction to the situation because you're looking at it differently. An example. I think this is a great example. It's not my example. I think it was redone on, or maybe it's my example. I can't remember. But you go to someone's home and you see a mother is screaming and she has a towel and she's like beating her 5-year-old. And you think, what's wrong with this woman? And you would just want to grab this woman and beat her. You can't beat a little kid. And you find out like 30 seconds before you got home, this little kid was about to take some bleach, and she opened it and was going to drink it, and the mother just, out of intense love, just pulled her. Don't ever do that, just don't ever take, just wanted to beat it in her that don't ever do this, out of love. But you didn't know that. So you think, this is the worst mother. I'm calling the police, she should be arrested. Child abuse. You say, so in this example, we can use Sastra-caksus, although this is not Sastra-caksus, but as an analogy. So the Shastra says, no, this mother loves her child. She just saved her child from dying. If she didn't do that, and the child will never do this again because she got the message very quick. And she didn't hurt the child. She just shook the child up enough that the child knows, don't ever drink this. This is poison. Oh, okay. Now I understand. Complete different response. So it's not about you and your consciousness and your ability to respond as much as it is about what is the reality and your ability to see it. Because the way you see reality, right? We were talking, I think, last night, see women as mother, right? So that's Sastra-caksus. See women, that's what women see men as son. What does that mean? Well, theoretically, you respect your mother. Of course, now I'll call you different, but because the concept is you have the utmost respect for your mother. And with one's mother, there's no sexual. You may be sexually crazy, but with your mother, generally, it's not going to be there. So that's the idea. Oh, okay. So Sastra says I should see women like mother. So this is very pure relationship. Okay, so now your experience of women is changing. You said, no, but I grew up to see women as objects of my enjoyment. I should enjoy them, I should get married, they should serve me, etc., etc. But Shastra says, no, I have to see them with the utmost respect. Now my reaction, my interaction with them is different. My emotional experience with them is different. Just because I'm seeing through Shastra, that's all. Isn't that interesting? So everything changes when you see through Shastra, which is why it's so bad if we don't read regularly, because then we're just seeing through. I mean, obviously we have knowledge, but when the knowledge is not on the forefront, it's very easy to see the way we've always seen, isn't it? But when you're reading regularly, your mind tends to be filled up with that knowledge. I remember when I was a student, I had an English read the Iliad. There's one book, the Iliad and the Odyssey. The book was like, it was huge. And I think that's all we had to read for the class. It was like 800 pages or something. You had to get through it. You had to read a lot every day. Like at least an hour, hour and a half. And I remember, and you probably have this experience, when you read fiction. Or you read stories, even if they're not fiction, nonfiction. If you read stories, fiction, nonfiction, it's like your life becomes merged in that story, and you're like looking at that story. So I remember that semester, I was seeing the whole world through the Iliad and the Odyssey. I was just living it. I had to read so much of it, and be tested on it, and know it, and know all the characters. So it was like I was in the movie. I was in the theater, in real life. So wouldn't that be so absorbed in Krishna Leela that because it's so prominent in your mind that you're just living through it? And also you're living through Shastra, that just naturally you'll see things according to Shastra because you read so much of it. You can't see it any other way. And the problem is The problem is, if we see materially, we act materially. No great revelation, right? We act according to how we see. Oh, look at that. That's beautiful. Let's eat it. Oh, look at that. That would be great to offer to Krishna. Let's bring it home, wash it, and offer it. According to how you see, you act. Right? Isn't it? So if you're shastric, then you're seeing that way. Yes?
I was thinking about this, how to show love. Is there a difference between male and female, how they see love and experience love? I'm also thinking this modern love languages.
Materially or spiritually?
Materially, mostly in relationship or spiritually.
Yeah, of course. But everyone's individual, so you can't generalize because, love languages means people, male or female, perceive love as, men perceive it. Men will perceive it very, especially through respect. Women will perceive it more through what they consider love, acts of love. So that difference is there for sure. Most men would rather be respected than loved. Love's not that important. Respect, men have big egos, so respect is very important. And women, love is more important. So-called love or affection. But everyone's different. I think the problem is if a devotee is showing affection to us, but we have certain standards of the ways we perceive affection, so we don't see the affection, that's not good. For me to show affection, I need to see this and this. But you're showing affection in another way, and I don't notice it. And then I don't like you. That's not good. So I think it goes along with the discussion we had yesterday on appreciation. We have to, see the heart of a devotee. Maybe it's not the way I like to be served, but I appreciate it. Like sometimes someone will cook for me, and everything they cook are all the things I don't eat. And I won't say, sometimes I have to tell them because otherwise they'll cook the same thing the next day. Otherwise, if it was one day, I wouldn't say anything. I don't want to upset them. But if I'm staying somewhere and I don't eat beets, I don't eat this, I don't eat that. One plate, I'm like, thank you, I eat it. But even if I have to tell them, but what I see is, they'll say, oh, I'm so sorry. I say, no, I see your devotion. I appreciate it. It's just for some reason, I don't like these foods. I'm weird. I don't know. These are all nice foods. I just don't eat them. It's not your fault. So we have to see that sincerity. Even if someone does something maybe we don't like, but if it's done with that kind of sincerity, and there's no reason that Krishna wouldn't like it, then we can't say, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that. That's bad. Right? Does that make sense? Sometimes people are not good at certain things, but they're sincere. So if we just look at their material performance, we might think, oh, I don't like this devotee because he's not good at whatever. But that has nothing to do with his bhakti. That's just his material capability. Right? Yeah, so that's important to see. Because it's easy sometimes to overlook that if someone is not good at something that you need them to do. Maybe you're not a good cook, but it doesn't mean you're not good at this or that. It doesn't maybe have anything to do with your... But that's what I see. We have another appreciation from Guru after doing service, especially that we did our best. Well, if you expect it, you may not get it. If you don't expect it and you get it, it's always, it's always better. What do they say? Is there a saying like that? Don't expect anything. Expect the best, hope for the worst. No, expect the worst, hope for the best. No. Yeah.
Be prepared for the worst and
expect the best. Yeah. But that's expect the worst, hope for the best. That one doesn't work to answer this question. Of course, we want to know that our spiritual master is happy. So if you didn't get appreciation, just say, Guru Maharaj, are you happy with what I did? Then he can tell you. And just be prepared for the answer. He may not be happy, and he's going to tell you. And maybe he didn't say anything because he wasn't happy. He didn't want to hurt you. So you're putting him on the spot, and he's not going to lie. But it's like with what I could say with Prabhupada, he told us what makes him happy, so we didn't have to ask him. Distribute books, I'll be pleased. We didn't say, Prabhupada, I distributed 20 books, are you pleased? We knew he was pleased, so we don't have to ask him. Prabhupada, we just published a new book, are you happy? Of course he's happy. We know that. He's already told us. We don't need to be told every time. So, and how could he tell us? There were too many of us. And he wasn't with us. He was all over the world. But he would tell us, this is what pleases me, and we could feel it. Like sometimes you just feel your spiritual master's pleased, Krishna's pleased. Service, it's an experience. And if you need appreciation, you could spoil that experience. Oh, he never appreciated me. So now you can't experience the bliss of satisfying him because you have this need for him to come and tell you. That ruins everything. Well, Prabhupada, why are you so miserable? I distributed 100 big books today, and Prabhupada didn't tell me he appreciated it. Of course he appreciates it. He doesn't have to tell you. It's a open reality that he appreciates it. Now that would be really strange, wouldn't it? You come back after distributing 100 Bhagavad Gitas and you're totally miserable because your Guru Maharaj never said, oh, I appreciate that. But if you understand, yes, everyone appreciates that. The whole world appreciates it. Why should I doubt? Why do I need to be reinforced? Then you could say, well, it's my nature, I need that. But that's dangerous because you could end up not being happy when you should be happy because you didn't appreciate it. Now, it's nice if the Guru appreciates, but can he appreciate every disciple every time they do something? Probably not. Something to consider. Of course we're so happy when our spiritual master says, I'm pleased. Yeah, that makes our day, makes our life. Of course. But you can just feel it. Like, when you follow the order of the spiritual master, you can just feel he's pleased. You just feel good. You just know. This is what he asked me to do, and I'm doing it. This is what Prabhupada wanted. I'm doing it. And vice versa, you feel bad. Oh, I got up late today. You feel bad because Prabhupada said get up early, so you feel bad. Unless you're sick, it's okay. But we all have that experience. Or I didn't chant my rounds well, I feel bad, naturally. And I chant my rounds well, I feel good. So that's reciprocation. I know personally devotees who, after doing very valuable service, did not get a word thank you and left discouraged. A pure devotee doesn't expect appreciation, but it seems that most of us just need to continue. I'll say the same thing. If you expect appreciation, this is what's going to happen. So if you say, well, I'm just normal, I expect it, I understand that. But look at it could destroy you. And pure devotional service is done without expectation. Some artists did paintings and Prabhupada, they showed it Prabhupada and said, useless. How would you feel? How would you feel? You just spent a month on a painting, this beautiful painting detail. Prabhupada said, this painting is useless. Because it wasn't a painting of a Leela. You just painted Krishna in the forest. Just like, let's just paint Krishna. Well, what pastime is this? Well, it's not a pastime, just don't concoct. Useless. Wow, what about that? So, if you put the spiritual master in this position where Guru Maharaj, if you don't appreciate me, I'm going. Well, what does speak of trying to correct you? It's like, I can't correct you. If I don't even appreciate you and you're going to leave, what if I try to correct you? You'll commit suicide. So you can't, you can't have a relationship expect to have a relationship like that. That's what I was saying the other night. I was saying it's not easy to be a disciple. And I think some people become disciples, they don't realize that, you want to become a disciple so you get patted on the back? No, you might get slapped in the face sometimes. And you might not get patted on the back. Now, I was in Vancouver. We were going out Harinam every day in the snow, freezing, living in austere conditions. We didn't need Prabhupada to send us a letter every day saying, I appreciate what you're doing. We knew he appreciated it. So I think that's the right answer. We have to know if we're serving the order of the Guru, he appreciates it, whether he tells us or not. And to expect it is going to cause problems. I understand people need it. It's good when the Guru appreciates it. Prabhupada did a lot of that. He did a lot of appreciation. But every time you do something good, it's not necessarily going to happen. And what are you going to do? Find a new Guru because he didn't appreciate you? Find the Guru who appreciates more? I don't like my Guru. Because I did something and he didn't say it was good. You know why he didn't say it was good? Because he didn't want to hurt you and say it was bad. That's why. You didn't know that. Can you appreciate that? No, you can't have that. It's not good. We can't have a Guru and say, well, he should do this. Well, he didn't. So we should be more tuned in to, if we follow the order, there'll be mercy. And you'll feel the mercy. You'll feel satisfaction. Just like Krishna told the gopis, he says, I can't reciprocate with you. You just have to be satisfied with your own devotion. So you serve your Guru. Why can't you be satisfied with that? So I would say, in answer to the question, I understand what you're saying, but I think there's maybe something wrong with that mentality that I need it, and I can't go on without it. That's not a very elevated state of Krishna consciousness. So what are the four principles? How many in Guru Maharaj? I can only do this if you appreciate everything I do. No, that would be strange. Right? Ananta says, should respect go both ways in relationship? Can you mention examples of respect, wife and husband? Connection with Sanatani's question. Yeah, there has to be. The basis of every relationship is respect. So we were talking about this the other day. Act in a way that it makes it easy for your wife to respect you. Act in a way that it makes it easy for your husband to respect you. Because Prabhupada says, and we know this, he said people demand respect, but they don't command respect. So you can demand respect from your partner, but it's better you command it. You don't have the right to demand it if you don't command it, and if you command it, you don't have to demand it. So that's, act in a way that naturally your wife will respect you, naturally your husband will respect you. That's important. But respect them anyway. Both things. Your job is to respect your wife or husband and act in a way that they'll respect you, and respect them even if they don't act in a way that you think is respectful. If you say I can't respect them because their behavior is not respectful, it's understandable. It could be true. But then you have to tell them, I want to respect you, but you do things that they're not Krishna conscious, and it's really hard for me to respect you. Can we talk about it? Can we really, I understand you're challenged with this, I understand, but it's really hard for me to respect these activities. Like one devotee had written me, he said, my husband stays up till like midnight, 1 o'clock, playing video games. And he's a good devotee, but it's just, aside from the time wasting factor, it's hard to respect him when he does that. So yeah, naturally men should think, if I stay up till midnight playing video games, maybe my wife will lose respect for me. You know, that's obvious. And I'm demanding she respect me. Yeah, but you're staying up till 1 o'clock playing video games and you're asking me to respect you like you're my guru. I can't do that. You have to be respected. So yeah, there's a balance there. Who asked the question? Sanatani? No, this question. Oh, you asked. Sanatani. Yeah, I think it's important. If you want someone to respect you, act in a way that makes it easier for them to respect you.
If not, it's based more on what the kid, because there are some emotions that are based on fear of what can happen if you go on with a person like that.
Yeah. That's a specific question. In the sixth canto, Prabhupada said, a woman does not have to serve a husband who's fallen. Mata Samhita, he lists various conditions in which a husband, a wife, or someone can divorce. You know, we say no divorce, but it's actually there. There are conditions. It doesn't talk about remarriage, but it does talk about divorce. There are conditions when there's, under these certain, the woman can't bear another wife, or I forget the conditions. So there are some conditions, yes, that it may be necessary to separate. But that could be done under consultation with others. After, of course, trying to rectify. We always try to rectify first. Thing we try to rectify, but it may not be possible. But any man who wants his wife to respect him should act in a respectable way. It's obvious, isn't it? But I think some men, even though that's obvious, think, no, my wife should respect me no matter what I do. But that's not our philosophy. No, you go to the Shastra, say, look at, you have this, I think it was Chaivana Muni, he was old and his wife served him. So sometimes that example is used. But he wasn't breaking principles. He wasn't going out, didn't have girlfriends, he wasn't getting drunk. He was just, he had a bad temperament. So she tolerated it. But, if he were going out cheating on her and a drug addict, and, obviously that's different. But I still think the principle is valid. That no one should expect to be respected unless they act in a respectable way, just because they have that position. That is what creates so many problems in management. A person gets a position of authority, and then he thinks everyone has to follow my authority without me being worthy of that authority. No. If you're going to get that authority, you have to be worthy of it. If it isn't, okay, I have the authority because I'm in a position. That's the problem we're having in America with Trump. He has the authority of the president, but he doesn't act like a president. And so most people are like, how can't have a person act this way and be the president? It doesn't work. So, you want to be a guru, you have to act a certain way. A temple president, a sannyasi, whatever authority you have, you can't think because of the position, I can do anything and everybody has to follow me. It won't work. In the long run, it won't work. People won't follow you just because you have a position. They'll follow you because of who you are. Not because of the danda. And worse, if you have the danda and you don't act well, it'll produce the opposite result eventually.
It goes against you at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But isn't the love in Krishna enough
To solve all problems? Yeah, if you have love of Krishna, it will solve. Until you have love of Krishna, you'll have problems. And you have to address those problems practically. The same thing applies to inspiring people in general. If I say Krishna consciousness will make you happy, it will make you satisfied, that'll make an impression on people if they see I'm happy and satisfied. If they don't see I'm happy and satisfied, it won't make an impression. And people, they want to serve. And they want to serve people they respect, and people want to respect people. It's not that they don't. It's not that everyone's rebellious and no authority, I'm my own authority. That may be there to some degree, but if someone's actually qualified, capable, people want to serve them. So you don't have to force anyone to serve you. You just have to be the person who they would want to serve. Right? The guru can say, you have to serve me, you have to do what I say, and that's true. But it's better he inspires the disciple to follow his instruction and not force them against their will. Because they can't. Anyway. So even the guru doesn't take that position. You have to do it. You'll see sometimes disciple can't do it. And he'll say, okay, well, what about this? He won't say, no, because I'm your guru, you have to do this. I mean, he might in some cases, but many cases when he sees that won't work, he'll say, okay. So even the highest authority is taking a humble position, not demanding that you have to do everything I say. You do everything I say, it'll be good for you, but that you have to do. You have to do it on your own. And so he'll try to inspire you by his example, so that you'll want to do what he's doing. You know, Prabhupada was moving very fast. 3 days here, 3 days here, 3 days here. And working up till 10, 11 at night, and then sleeping a few hours and getting up and working and just going on the move, going here, like really fast. 3 days here, solve some problem, start some new project, fly over here, 4 days here, start some new project, initiate some devotees, preach here and there, fly over. It was like going. And if you see devotees in ISKCON, especially Prabhupada disciples, doing similar things, it's because of that example. Because that's what Prabhupada did. You know, if Prabhupada spent most of his time in Hawaii just writing, I don't think all the sannyasis and gurus would be flying around the world like they are now. Prabhupada said that, he said, do what I'm doing. So, you know, setting example is really everything. Not just getting the title, I'm in charge, and you have to do what I say. So if you see how hard some devotees work, I mean, some may be workaholics by nature, you know, but if you see how some of Prabhupada's disciples are working, it's because he set that example. Look at Jayapataka Maharaj, you can't stop him. He's like trying to keep up with Prabhupada, do the same thing. Or maybe you could say he surpassed Prabhupada. That's more disciples. And Prabhupada's happy, he surpassed. Prabhupada said, I surpassed my Guru Maharaj. He didn't mean I'm better. He said, I went to the West, open temples. I did what he could. Your spiritual master is always happy if you can do what he couldn't do. He's happy. You're not better than him, but you can do something he couldn't do, then he's happy. What else? Yes.
Can you comment on goodness and the devotional practice?
About goodness, what does it look like?
And,
How to do it?
And why is it necessary?
Why is it necessary? Because it's hard to be Krishna conscious if you don't have a lifestyle that supports it. So it's basically like the elephant's bath. You'll do one thing to clean yourself, then you'll do some tamasic activity, and now you're dirty again. So what was the use of the bath? The four regulative principles keep you in the mode of goodness. And so that's a foundation upon which to build your chanting. And so if I'm chanting and then I go to the bar, have a beer, this is kind of undid my chanting. So you could say, well, there's permanent benefit. Yeah, but on one level there's permanent benefit, on another level I just threw dirt on whatever I cleansed from my heart this morning from chanting. So, and you could also say, and if I don't follow those principles, I won't even have the lifestyle that I would be motivated to chant, because my lifestyle is so tamasic that there's no motivation to chant. So if you live a sattvic lifestyle, it naturally fosters devotional activity. It makes it easier, because sattva guna is in many ways similar to Vishuddha sattva. The way you see, the way you act in many ways is, if you read some verses about sattva guna, it's transcendental. The way it's described, it's just a transcendental state. Although technically it's not a transcendental state, but there's overlap in many, many areas. So it's kind of like you're going to do a job and you want to set everything up so the job works well. So we can't do it outside, it's too cold, or it's windy or rainy or it's snowing. So we're going to set it up in our garage, and but we need this kind of saw, we don't have it, we're going to have to get it. But we could use this other one, but it really won't work well. It's just going to be harder, it's going to be troublesome, it's going to be difficult. So sattva guna is like setting that environment up to do the job in the quickest, most efficient way. And if you're not living in sattva guna, it's like you're doing the job with all the wrong tools, or you're using your left hand and you're right-handed. It's just hard. It's working against you. Or it's like working outside in the rain. You can't do it. You have to keep coming in, and it's disrupting what you're trying to do. So Prabhupada asked us to be in sattva guna, to live a sattvic lifestyle. Rise early, take bath, go to Mangal Arati, etc. Don't eat onions, don't eat garlic. Don't sleep, what you need, not more. This is all sattvic lifestyle. Be, clean, organized. Then if you do that, everything is easier in Krishna consciousness. And if you don't do that, well, the problem is, if you don't do it, it's a symptom that you're not. If you're not living a sattvic life, it's a symptom you're not Krishna conscious. And you need to live a sattvic life to be Krishna conscious. But it's also a symptom you're not Krishna conscious if you're not living a sattvic life. Like we were saying yesterday, right? You have a dirty house because you're in the mode of ignorance, and because the house is dirty, it keeps you in the mode of ignorance. So one thing causes the problem, and that problem remains, right? So sattva will support more sattva. Tamas will support more tamas. Yes?
We know that we should not eat onion, garlic, and mushroom because it's an obstacle in spiritual path. But what about food which we buy in stores which is not wholesome, like fruit and vegetables?
But fruits and vegetables that are sprayed with pesticides or cooked, already prepared? Or?
No, I think we can buy, for example, some organic preserved food in organic shop. But still it's processed. It's not fresh.
Well, not fresh. Yeah, it's not ideal. Better, but sometimes if you're working like 10 hours a day, what can you do? fresh is best, made by yourself is best. So go for the best. And if you can't, go for second best. Don't. Second best is things that are not made with grains.
Does it have the same effect on our mind? Like,
Yeah, it has some effect. A little bit. It's the same principle. Like create an environment that's most favorable. That's not going to destroy you. But yeah. I was invited to have dinner in 1970 at an Indian's home. That was the first invitation we ever got. Right? There were very few Indians in America at that time. This was in Canada. They had more Indians there. So I wrote Prabhupada and said, what should I do? He said, just tell them to give you some fruits and vegetables, and you can offer those in your mind and eat those. Like, better not to eat what they cook. Unless they're Brahmins, and they offer it. Like but one time, Prabhupada ate a sabji with onions because he didn't want to offend his guest. So, if you have to go on Sankirtan and the only thing in the store is some applesauce, which means it's cooked apples, eat it. Because Sankirtan's more important than going home and, making your own applesauce. Wasting 2 hours. So like that. So you do your best according to the situation you're in. If your best is not ideal, then it's circumstantial. I don't have the time here. I'm traveling somewhere and there's nothing to eat. The only thing I can find is this or that. You'll survive. The holy name is more powerful. Generally, Prabhupada said we don't take food on restaurants. We try to avoid these things if we can. So, I always bring food on the airplane so I don't have to eat. Or I'll just eat fruit or something that they give. So that's better. But don't be fanatic. I just did it be fanatical, but it wasn't the way I'm explaining it now. It was the other side, how we do things wrong with that mantra. Don't be fanatical. Prabhupada, why are you doing this? You're taking this, and there's wheat in the Asvatita, and it's a Ekadasi. Oh, Prabhu, don't be fanatical. It's just like, so you don't want to just use that mantra.
But we should use heat with power inside for Ekadasi?
I should avoid, yeah. But some people, it was to say that some people just use that mantra to brush over every problem. But so there's what's fanatical, what isn't, where is being fanatical detrimental, where's not being fanatical detrimental. The video that you don't just want to write everything off as don't be fanatical, do this, because then you're the line where it's going to keep moving over. Well, this is fanatical, let's move it over. And then 10 years later, well, this is now fanatical. Whereas 10 years earlier, this was liberal. So it's like adjusting morality. So we don't want to do that either. So, is that okay? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No. You had a question?
I was just thinking, we get up in the morning, do our chanting, and then I think mode of goodness, work and
Passion.
slug, passion, and come home, and then you're tired, and then the ignorance sets
That's
in.
true.
How to come out of it?
Well, what?
I mean, when you're most vulnerable.
Yeah. What he's saying is that the morning is sattvic, and then around, I'm not an astrologer, but just by experience, around 7:38, passion comes in. The world's moving. I guess in a lot of countries the passion starts at like 6 o'clock because everyone's going to work. But generally, astrologically, the passion is a little bit later, and then the day is passion and the night is tamaguna. So what do we do? So if I can rephrase your question, how do we remain free from the influences of the modes of nature that surround us? And the answer is, you have to take your sufficient medicine to inoculate you so your immune system is strong, so when you go out, the mode of passion and ignorance will not harm you. It's like your transcendental flu shot, your transcendental mode shot, which means good sadhana. And as you progress into Osho service, you'll notice that you'll be less affected. So it's a sign of your advancement that you're being less affected by your environment. And your Krishna consciousness remains steady, even in kind of toxic environments. And it's a sign that you still need to do some work if you're getting very easily affected by that. I remember as a young devotee, I was very easily affected. And I think that's normal. And so it's just as far as possible, protect yourself out there. You know, you say you've done your best to do your sadhana, and you say, but I'm still affected. Do your best to protect yourself in that environment, whatever that means. Do pranayama every half hour. Just to calm down. You know. Have pictures of Krishna everywhere. Yeah. We will be affected, but it's a question of how much we will allow that to affect us. And it is hard. When I became a devotee, there was no way I could have been Krishna conscious living outside. At least that's what I felt. And I probably was right. Not on the level I could inside. I wasn't strong enough. So moving in the ashram for me was really the only alternative. Otherwise, outside the ashram, I'd be wavering due to the influence of my environment. I wasn't that strong. So you have to know your strengths and weaknesses, and you have to be careful about environments. And Prabhupada said that. You know, you have to assess your position to know what you can deal with and what you can't. Be careful. And a lot of praying helps also. Krishna, going into this environment, I pray intelligence. I pray that you give me strength, because I get weak in this environment. And Krishna can change your consciousness so that you can do it. Like we're talking, Sastra-caksus, he can give you a vision to be able to see things in a way that you don't become influenced by the modes. Like one thing that I do, and it's a bit spontaneous, but I'm always analyzing things. So rather than just seeing, I'm analyzing. You know, like we're going to the airport early in the morning, and the freeway's crowded. People are working so hard. And what are they working for? You know, they're working to pay for the car that they're driving to work, and they're working to pay for the house that they just left. And they're working to keep up with other people so they can be fashionable and so forth. And analyze things and see exactly what's happening. We become part of that. You think, oh, I should do that. Everyone's working hard. I should work harder also. Well, look at him. He's got what's the car? Tesla. He's got a Tesla. And I've got a gas guzzling, Chevrolet or Ford or something. So it's important to analyze. To always be analyzing and looking at things in a very philosophical way. That protects you. And although this may sound funny, I think sometimes it's also funny to make jokes. And sometimes Prabhupada would joke about it. We had it's called Kool, K-O-O-L. I think it's Kool, K-O-O-L. And it's called Kool because the filter on the cigarette the smoke is filtered through menthol, so they have some menthol flavors. So they call it Kool. It's like the smoking. And Prabhupada said, they're smoking fire, and they're calling it cool. So in other words, it's like, we could call it, it's like Shastra is like an illusion buster. It's breaking all the illusions. So I think it's very important for us to be illusion busters. We see things, go, well, look at that. It means you remain aloof, you don't become entangled in it. Otherwise it could look so good. Say, look at this person, he's very rich and famous, but you can see on his face how unhappy he is. We're looking at him, we go, yeah, he looks like he's in anxiety. And he's driving off in his Rolls Royce, but you can see he doesn't look happy. So, discussing these things. It's like poor person, rich people, all they have is money. They're so unfortunate. Things like that. So that's very important. And that's the gift Prabhupada has given us, this ability to see things as they are so that we don't become entangled in them. Because if you don't see it as it is, you will see an illusion there. And the illusion will say, come grab me, you'll be happy. So we have to discuss how it's an illusion. And then if we always see it that way, then we're okay. And we can make jokes about it because the world is quite funny. What people do is quite funny, isn't it? Often. And to just point it out, like someone said, I don't know who it was, he said, people are working hard at jobs they hate to buy things they don't need to impress people they don't like. So that's funny. It's funny, but it's true. Or another funny one is, when you're 20, you're always worried about what people are thinking of you. And by the time you're 40, you're sick of worrying. It's just, I don't care anymore. By the time you're 60, he was thinking of you in the first place. And if they were thinking of you, they were thinking, I wonder what he's thinking of me. So by looking at the world, by looking at the world through this kind of funny lens, it protects us from it. Because you won't do what you laugh at. Because by laughing at it, you make it stupid, which it is. And that protects you. So I always do this. Like always, this is by nature I do this. I analyze and I make jokes. And I can just testify, it protects you. Sometimes, this is a strange joke, but I'll see this beautiful woman with this guy, and before as a devotee, I would think, that guy is so lucky. And now I think, poor guy. She's so beautiful, he's going to do anything. She's got him totally under control, and he's going to work so hard to please her. So it's, it's a joke, but there's truth to it, And we just remind ourselves that, I could easily fall into that same, I could also fall for some beautiful woman and just work hard and give up my Krishna consciousness. And I don't want to do that. So we talk that way, just to kind of, be a little funny, a little jokey, and protect ourselves. You know that joke? There's two lines of men, and in front of one line it says, all men who were controlled by their wives stand here. Another line says, all men who were not controlled by their wives stand here. And there's only one man in that line. All the men are in the line, all men who are controlled by their wives. They're all in that line. And only one man is in the other line. All men who were not controlled by their wives. And so some men, he's coming there, he doesn't know which line to go in. So he's wondering, why is there only one man? So he goes to the man, he said, why are you standing in this line? Everyone's in the other line. He goes, I don't know, my wife told me to stand here. So it's just a light way of saying, of pointing out how when you fall in love, you also are going to be controlled, and every man wants freedom, and you're going to lose a lot of your freedom when you fall. So, so we want to see these realities, and we want to talk about them. But sometimes we talk about them in light ways, but it protects us. At least it helps us. It paints a picture of what is. So when you take the next step, you know what is. You know what you're getting into. Because if you have an illusion, you don't know what you're getting into. And Maya's job is to paint an illusion. You know, like here in Norway. You know, there's plenty of money, everything's nice. And I was thinking, yeah, but you're all still going to get old and die. They didn't figure that one out yet, right? The government doesn't have a program for reducing the death rate. Still, death rate is 100%. So, although we may say, well, people in Norway, you know, they're happy, they're content, it's hard for them to become devotees. Yeah, but still, they have minds which get disturbed, right? They have bodies that get sick. And no woman that I know of, especially not a devotee, likes getting old, because at a certain age, you just don't look good anymore. And there's so much emphasis on looking good. It's hard to get old. For women, it's really difficult. Right? Unless you're a devotee. Unless you're a devotee. But if you're not, so I can guarantee you all the women in Norway who are, you know, in their mid-40s, getting close to 50, are like in anxiety about it. And they're doing something. Right? It's just
what you do out of your life, I think.
Yeah. But most your average, but in this society, there's so much emphasis on being thin and being young. It's difficult. So I'm just saying, Maya paints this picture like, no, she paints a picture that is not the way it is. It's an illusion, and then we run after the illusion, but we finally get the reality, and then we suffer. Whereas if we would have seen the reality in the beginning, we could have made a better decision on what we want to do. Does that make sense? Like you're walking down the road and it looks like there's a road, but actually it's a puddle and you didn't notice. Instead, there was a puddle there. So Maya has many them so you can't see it, and then we fall into it. No, go around, it's fine, the road's fine. And we fall in the puddle. That's how Maya does it. She paints a picture of something that isn't, and that's what Maya means. It means illusion. She paints a picture of something that isn't, and we think it is, and then we go after it. Does that make sense? You have experience? So when you see through Shastra, then you can see what is, and then you can make the right choice and not be disappointed and not do the wrong thing. So it protects us. So in that sense, you could say that's sattvic living also. That will keep you in sattvic living. So see the world philosophically. Just everything that's going on. Try to see it philosophically. Talk to devotees philosophically. Discuss things. And then you can stay in Krishna consciousness. You'll never be able to leave Krishna consciousness. Maya could do nothing if you're seeing things philosophically, because nothing can push you out of that. That's the reality. And she's trying to create an illusion. If you're in the reality, you will not bite the bait that she gives you. Because you can see she's offering you something that's not true. So you wouldn't do it. Right? Like if I say, I have a brand new Mercedes-Benz, you can have it for €100. Or like, what's going on here? You know, it's too good to be true. So Maya paints all the too good to be true scenarios, right? And we run after it. And then she gives us a little bit. That's the little drop, so it'll keep us running. You don't get the full thing you wanted. You get some of it for a while. And it keeps you going for the next one. And in this way, we've been in the material world for millions of lifetimes with that little drop that kept us going. That's it. That's mine. She's so smart. She just gives you enough to keep you going. Keep you from killing yourself, basically, from committing suicide. And with the hope that I can be happy here. And so we're still here because she's given us just enough. And unless we break through that illusion, we'll stay. We'll keep coming back and back. And once we break that illusion, she can't keep us here anymore. Because now our happiness is coming from Krishna, and it doesn't compare to what she's giving us. Right? Yes?
But when you avoid this a little bit, does Maya gives you more and more so attractive?
She can, if you want it. Well, the thing is, it depends on your appetite. If you say, Maya, give me more, she'll give you more. And then at one point, there'd be some problem. And Maya will say, well, it's just a... Keep going. There's... So, you know, Prabhupada said this, and I think we all know it's true. You have to be a little bit intelligent to be a devotee. You know, you have to be able to see these things. Because if you're not a little bit intelligent, Maya can easily get you. But, you know, if you understand Prabhupada's books, then you're intelligent and she can't get you. It's just all, what Prabhupada's doing in his books is he's just showing you what Maya is and what she does so that she can't capture you, right? Let's say you and I want to wrestle, right? And he's a wrestling coach. He comes to me and goes, well, he's going to try to do this. He's going to try to do that. When he tries to do this, pull him this way. He tries to do that, press him this way. And you're wrestling with me, and you look at me, he's this old guy, he can wrestle, and I'm completely destroying you because I know exactly what you're going to do. So Prabhupada's showing us what Maya's going to do. And therefore, because we know, she can't defeat us. But if you don't know, then she'll just pull the carrot and go, come with me. Right? So that's what Prabhupada's doing. He's revealing Maya's plan. And she has no power on us because we exactly know. Like the guy who's, you know, you go to India and he's selling you something, telling you it's Kashmiri shawl, you know, and he's selling it to you for 100 rupees. Kashmiri shawls don't cost 100 rupees. They're expensive. No, it's real Kashmiri. And you don't know. And if you know, he can't do it. So if you don't know, Maya can get you. Yes?
It's only about less than 20 minutes left to break Kalashi today.
Okay, class is over. Hare Krishna. Sharirara Vijaja Chatendriya Taika.
And also the Sunday feast starts in 2 hours, so...